Some disappearances explode into noise, sirens, headlines, candlelight vigils. Others slip quietly into the dark, unnoticed at first, like breath fogging a cold window, then fading. This is one of those, a story that begins in ordinary suburbia, trimmed lawns, school bells, weekday routines, and ends in a silence so deep that even now, years later, it refuses to speak. In the early years of the 21st century, in a quiet Midwestern town shaped by strip malls and school zones, a child was born into what appeared to be an unremarkable, loving home. No warning signs, no public fractures, no known violence. A boy, bright-eyed, 6 years old. He had grandparents who doted, relatives who visited often, parents who attended school events and packed lunches. His life, on the surface, was safely stitched together by routine. And yet, beneath that routine, something was already loosening. On a mild spring morning, the boy's father followed the same ritual he always had. Breakfast, shoes tied, a short drive to school, a kiss goodbye delivered without ceremony, because nothing about the day felt like it demanded one. The child was walked into class. Attendance was marked. Life continued. Less than an hour later, the pattern shattered. The boy's mother arrived at the school, unexpectedly, calm, polite, controlled. She spoke quietly of an urgent family matter and asked that her son be released into her care for the remainder of the day. No alarm was raised. Why would there be? Parents collect children early all the time. The boy gathered his things and followed her out. That moment, a small door opening, a classroom emptying by one, would become the last confirmed sighting of him as himself. What followed was not chaos, but something far more unsettling. Time passed. The mother did not rush home. She did not call her husband. She did not seek help. Instead, she drifted. Late morning found them at a mechanical garage, the kind of place where conversations are casual and questions are few. An employee, acting out of kindness, offered a lift. Hours were then spent wandering among animals behind glass and fences, predators pacing, prey watching silently. Enclosures within enclosures. Observers later remembered. Nothing unusual. That is what makes this harder to understand. By afternoon, the pair had moved again, this time toward bright lights and artificial joy. A resort, a water park, a place engineered to drown anxiety in noise and color. They stayed the night. Surveillance footage would later confirm the boy walking beside his mother, alive, unharmed, small, hand disappearing into hers as they passed through. Automatic doors stopped the next morning. They crossed state lines by mid-morning. Cameras captured them once more, entering another vast resort complex, anonymous among tourists. This would be the final confirmed image of the child. After that, nothing, while this quiet journey unfolded. Another story was being written elsewhere. Back home, the father returned from work to a house that was wrong in ways he could not immediately explain. Too quiet, too still. No bag by the door. No child's shoes kicked off carelessly. When he learned that his son had been removed from school early without his knowledge, fear arrived like ice water. Phone calls went unanswered, hours stretched. Then days, 2 days after the child vanished, the mother resurfaced, not in person, but in fragments. Phone calls were placed to family members. Her voice was steady, reassuring. She insisted that both she and the boy were safe, that there was no danger. That concern was unnecessary in the background. A child could be heard complaining of hunger. That sound ordinary, fleeting, would become one of the most haunting details of the entire case. It was proof of life and proof of proximity, yet still. She did not call her husband. Cellular data would later trace those calls to rural stretches of land, long roads threading through fields and wooded areas, places where vehicles can disappear without witnesses. Later that evening, she appeared alone on security cameras, purchasing stationery envelopes, a notebook, tools for communication or for goodbye. By nightfall, she had returned to her home state, a modest roadside hotel. No luggage of note, no sign of the child. The following afternoon, a housekeeper knocked. No response. The door opened inside. The story collapsed into horror. The woman lay motionless on the bed, the room saturated with violence and finality. Medication, blood, a deliberate ending. Nearby, a handwritten note, an apology, vague, insufficient, deeply human. A declaration, chilling in its certainty. The child, she wrote, would never be found, not because he was dead, but because he had been given away. Authorities descended quickly. Evidence was gathered. A blade recovered. A vehicle examined. Blood was found. A frightening amount, but it told the wrong story. Medical explanations surfaced. Innocent origins, no signs of a struggle, no proof of murder, and no child. Investigators noted something else. The car's tires bore traces of earth, not native to roads or car parks. Clay, soft ground, the suggestion of water nearby. Somewhere, perhaps briefly, the vehicle had left civilization behind. No location was ever identified. No witnesses came forward. No secret guardians were found. The case entered a new phase, not one of action, but of waiting. Waiting for a body that never surfaced. Waiting for a sighting that never came. Waiting for time to do what investigation could not. The father refused to let go. He believed, and still believes, that his son survived. And belief, in cases like this, can be both a lifeline and a curse. Years passed. The world moved forward with brutal indifference. But the absence remained suspended in time. A child forever, 6 years old, in photographs. Forever frozen at the moment he stepped out of a classroom and never returned. Then, almost a decade later, hope arrived wearing a terrible disguise, in a river city far from where the boy had vanished. Emergency calls reported a teenager wandering aimlessly near a bridge. He was disoriented, shaking, barely coherent. Police found him exhausted, frightened, and malnourished. When asked his name, he hesitated, then he spoke. The name he gave was the one that had haunted files, databases, and candlelight vigils for nearly 8 years. The claim detonated through law enforcement channels. Detectives were summoned. Arrangements were made. The father was contacted. Hope returned violently, dangerously. The teenager told a story fractured by gaps. He remembered almost nothing. He spoke of escape, of confinement, of fear without faces. It was just enough to sound real, just enough to reopen wounds that had never healed. Science, however, does not respond. Emotion, DNA testing was conducted, and with it came devastation. The boy was not the missing child. He was a man recently released from prison who had constructed a lie from fragments he had gathered. Somewhere along the way, why he did it remains unclear. Attention, delusion, malice, perhaps all three. What is certain is this: his claim inflicted a second disappearance, the brief resurrection of hope, followed by its public execution. Authorities issued statements. The case returned to its familiar limbo. No new evidence, no confirmed sightings, no answers. Only a single fact remains unchanged. A child was last seen alive in the care of his mother. And then he was erased. No grave has ever been found. No crime scene confirmed. No confession uncovered. Which leaves the most unsettling possibility of all, that somewhere, hidden by distance, time, or deliberate silence, the child grew up, unaware of his name, unaware of his past, unaware that the world once searched for him. And so the case endures, not as a solved tragedy, but as an open wound, a question without mercy, a disappearance that refuses to end.